Hear me, and everybody's ready. We'd like to go ahead and call to order this February 17th meeting, which is our regular scheduled meeting for February of the Henderson County Board of Education. Aaron, you good back there? Yep. Okay, so we'll go ahead and call to order this meeting. I would like to remind anybody that may be here, that's here to address the board for any matter that is not on the agenda, that we have a form that you can fill out. Give it to Ms. Robin, and we will give you time on the meeting agenda to address this board. Okay. Then the first item would be, Dr. Lawson, you have some folks that are going to help us with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes, sir, I do. Would everyone please stand?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Waller and the board, all the folks in the audience, these are students from our Student Ambassador Program, a highly rigorous program. We're always so proud to have them here. So I've asked them to tell you a little bit about themselves.
So my name's Carson Weiss. I plan on going to college. I don't really know where I want to go yet, but probably somewhere close to like 2 hours, like Murray, UE, USI, somewhere pretty close. And then I want to do business.
My name's Carson Emick. I plan to go to Murray State University and major in business.
My name is Gracie Majors. I plan to go to college and do business. I haven't decided on where yet, though.
My name is Alex Denson. I plan on going to USI and studying for accounting.
Well, thank you all very much. And as you all know, these students represent us so well. Please give them a hand.
Thank you for coming tonight and leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and we appreciate the effort that you folks put as you represent us in the community as well as in the high school, and your dedication really reflects what we're trying to do in our education process. The next item would be approval of the agenda. We have received the agenda prior to the meeting. Is there any questions or concerns? Then I'd entertain a motion that we approve the agenda as presented. Have a motion from Mr. Alvis, second from Mr. McGar. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please. Aye. Aye votes unanimous, so we'll go by this agenda. Next item, Ms. Mortis, our student and staff recognition.
Tonight, we'd like to recognize our Director of Finance, Cindy Cloutier, who was recently honored by the Kentucky Association of School Business Officials with the Goldenrod Outstanding School Business Official Award. Tonight, we have Mr. Stokes here to present this award and provide some more information.
Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Lawson, members of the board. It is my pleasure and honor to be here tonight. I wish I'd known you'd show in that picture. I probably would have worn a different coat. Sorry about that. If me and Dr. Lawson if I wore my red tie, we'd have been twins tonight. So, as she mentioned, my name is David Stokes. I'm the CFO at McLean County. So I'm about 30 minutes away from here. We are currently underwater and probably will not be in school most of this week, but the waters did stay dry enough for me to make it here, and it's an honor and a privilege. I am serving as a board of director for CASBO. CASBO is the Kentucky Association of School Business Officials, and is where we are required by law to have a certain number of continuing education hours, and it's where we learn how to basically protect the classroom. We want to keep the money in the classroom and to be efficient and to network and learn together. So I'm lucky enough to also be the chairman of the OSBO Award for CASBO. OSBO stands for Outstanding School Business Official of the Year. It's basically our Super Bowl MVP. And this year's winner is none other than your Miss Cindy here. The first thing when I got into education, I had to learn to not be scared of acronyms, so I'm using a lot tonight. CASBO, SASBO, ASBO, OSBO. as I mentioned, this year's winner is Cindy. She's always visible, and she's always learning and networking at Casbo. She's well respected across the state, and her name's known all the way from Henderson all the way over to Ashland, Kentucky. Her superintendent, Dr. Lawson, has been a big advocate for her. He sent me an email with a vast amount of accomplishments that she's achieved, in addition to the many that were listed in her nominations for this award. And we did receive multiple nominations for her for this award. In addition to our current superintendent, this year's winner had testimonies including nominations from the Kentucky Department of Education, from other finance officers, from her fiscal agent, and in a minute Dwight's going to recite word for word what he said for her in his testimony. But also she had a testimony from other superintendents. That's a big deal for a finance officer to be that well respected and to be honored, and for that many people to, willing to go out on the limb and take the extra mile just to make sure that she is honored and justly awarded. As the winner of the Kentucky OSBO Award, Cindy will receive an all-expense-paid trip from Casbo and SASBO. Casbo's Kentucky. SASBO is the 12 southeastern states. So anywhere from Virginia all the way down to Louisiana. I'm currently serving as the vice president of SASBO, so it's great that I have someone close to me in Western Kentucky that's going to be at the conference with me. This will allow her to learn with the other 11 out of those 12 states. She's one of them. The other 11 MVPs will be there, and as well as CFOs and business managers from across the 12 southeastern states. Our job as CFOs and school business officials revolve around protecting taxpayers' money and protecting their funds so that they can benefit student success. Almost every decision a district makes and every decision you make as a board is going to affect and impact your budget and your funds. And I think, and this state thinks, and Casbo Association thinks, that Henderson County is very lucky to have Cindy in their district to help with these decisions. Cindy, congratulations. So as I mentioned, Cindy does get an all-expense paid conference to SASBO. We also give her this nice award, which I would like to present to her. And also, we always make sure you have something to hang in your office so that anytime someone comes in and questions you, even if it's Dr. Lawson, you go, MVP. I'm glad. Well, Cindy, congratulations. One more time if we could give her an applause.
We appreciate that because we've had Cindy for a good while, and I don't think we could have said any more than what you have said, and we're proud of her too.
Thank you very much. It was an honor to be here, and I appreciate you letting me do this with Cindy.
After that, Cindy's looking forward to giving a speech. Yep, we got to get a couple more pictures here. I'm going to ask the board and everybody just to hang out for just a second. Yeah, Mr. Stokes, if you want to hang out over there for just a second. Hey, I want to take just a second. Cindy's honored as the top business official in the state, and we all know she's earned it. But I think this is year 36 in the school district. Think about giving that portion of your life to a cause like this. And so I wanted to ask Cindy she's only 40 years old, so she's quite an achiever. So Cindy, tell us about your experience.
Well, first, thank you. I'm honored to receive this award and thankful for everybody that nominated me. Thanks, Heavy. For the past 36 years, I've had the incredible fortune to work in a job that I love. I've been blessed to work with some of the most talented and dedicated individuals who, because of their support and their collaboration, I've been successful in this position. Otherwise, I probably would not have. So this award is not just a testament of my effort, but of everyone's effort, collective effort together. So I appreciate everyone in this room that's helped me, and to my superstars on my finance team whom I could not live a day without. So thank you, everybody. And I know he loved that.
Thank you, Cindy. All right, we'll have a seat here. We already got enough pictures, I think. We've got a couple more awards to give here.
Tonight, we'd like to recognize North Middle School Judges Scholar John Murray. He was selected by by the staff at North Middle School to be the Judges Scholar. John, if you'd like to join Dr. Lawson at this time, and if we have Mr. Roberts or anybody from North that would like to join.
So, John, I know you know this already, but to be honored as a Judges Scholar in your 8th grade year is one of the top honors we have in the school district. It's just incredible combination of a person who pursues excellence in all that they do, including leadership and academics and extracurriculars and the way they treat other people. It's quite an honor to be the Judges Scholar. And I know you had a big day as a Judges Scholar. Do you mind telling us a little bit about your day, maybe what you like most?
The day that I went, that I got it, I went to the fiscal court, got the proclamation, and then afterwards, I got to see what they did on a day-to-day basis. And then not only that, but afterwards, the judge, he took me out to lunch, and he took me out to lunch, and then afterwards I just went back to school. So it was a fun day.
Congratulations. And so to have that kid, give him a hand. To receive an award like that means you have an incredible amount of support. Do you have any family here with you tonight? Do you have any teachers or any of his teachers here? Was his family here? His preschool teachers, his parents, some family? Okay, let's come up here and take a picture together. And Mr. Rush, you oversee our middle schools. You mind coming up here as well? I know you all have to be most proud. Congratulations, John.
Tonight, we'd like to recognize Jefferson Elementary School student P.J. Britt for being selected as a Judges Scholar. Ms. Courtney, if you'd like to come forward at this time, and P.J., if you'd like to join Dr. Lawson.
It is with pride and joy that I'm here today to celebrate an exceptional young man, Paul Britt Jr., otherwise known simply as PJ. We are reminded of the qualities that make PJ truly deserving to be named Jefferson's Judges Scholar. PJ's character shines brightly, defined by his unwavering integrity and a genuine willingness to lend a helping hand to friends and teachers alike. He embodies the essence of doing what is right, even when no one's watching, and consistently stands up for others who struggle to stand up for themselves. PJ exemplifies excellence in all of his pursuits, whether it's achieving straight A's, reaching all of his MAP goals, or demonstrating his athletic abilities by scoring a winning basket for our Jefferson Jaguars, or hitting a bullseye on the JES archery team. He approaches every challenge with determination and a spirit of teamwork, always rooting for his peers alongside his personal successes. PJ leads like Jeffy in every aspect of his life, setting an inspiring example for us all. Having watched PJ grow from a curious kindergartner into the incredible fifth grader he is today has been an extraordinary privilege. His huge heart and determined spirit make him not just a stellar student, but an incredible human being. It is with great honor that I congratulate PJ Britt as Jefferson's Judges Scholar, a title he has undoubtedly earned through his hard work, inspiring character, and his pursuit of excellence in all that he does.
Wow, PJ. Those are, it's quite an honor and all those nice things she said about you. And I always say, this guy, he wears his Jefferson. He's always got his black and his gold on. He's looking sharp today. You were a Judges Scholar too, so you always were repping Jefferson. Tell us, what was your favorite part during your time as a Judges Scholar?
My favorite part was that I got a day named after me, and that I got a proclamation to hang up in my house.
I remember that. So we have the PJ Britt Day. You got the proclamation, hanging that up in your house. You can tell your parents how great you are, right? Do that. But I think I see your parents here, and I saw them also during your time at the court there. And so we know to be like a student like you are, it takes the support and guidance of great family, great teachers, great principals. It takes a village, and starts with the parents. And we're so appreciative of the work you do. In fact, I was looking around. I saw some grandparents, I think, the day that we were a Judges Scholar. Do we have any of those here tonight? Oh, yeah, they would stay home. So let's bring the family up here. Miss Courtney, any other Jefferson folks here? Let's put PJ in the middle. We'll get a picture. Congratulations.
Congratulations to A.B. Chandler Elementary School students Heaven Hertz and Tracy Taves for winning the stock market game competition. They competed with other elementary schools across the state and achieved the highest portfolio value in the competition. They demonstrated research, critical thinking, and analytical skills in financial decision making. Heaven and Tracy, if you want to join Dr. Lawson at this time.
What kind of analysis does the app use to determine what is a preferable security versus another one?
How did you make all the money?
And at this time, Mr. Rush, if you'd like to do the next one.
So everybody who came that's from the Transportation Department, it might be only you, Brian, I don't know. But if you could make your way up there to Dr. Lawson, please. Yeah. I can't wait for the family to get up there so Dr. Lawson can explain the whole family works for us, and that's pretty cool. But first of all, it is Love the Bus Month. And, you know, our bus drivers, first of all, it's very difficult to get certified to be get your CDL. A lot of hoops to jump through. And once you do, you got to drive that big yellow bus, keep everybody safe. At the same time, you have to keep order on that bus. And, you know, the classroom management aspect of it, you know, and teachers have everybody right in front of them. Bus drivers are just kind of looking up at the mirror, and it's a very tough job. And so we so appreciate all of our bus drivers and our transportation department.
Before that bus, I didn't know this. Before that bus, correct me if I don't think all the details. Before that bus leaves the barn in the morning, it goes through an extensive pre-check. Because you're entrusting these people with our children. So.
Absolutely.
Extensive. You wouldn't do it in your own vehicle, likely, on a regular basis, but every morning before it leaves.
Great point, Mr. Alvis. So one of the reasons why we wanted to spotlight Brian Vandiver, we got a picture up here, and we very much value coming to school as opposed to the NTI days. I know we have a good plan for the NTI that, you know, students at home doing the computers, but we very much value when we can come to school. And sometimes it's a close call, right? All the roads are clear, you know, people are going to Walmart, but the parking lots and our sidewalks are not quite finished. And last month we recognized our maintenance department, the city, the county, and others, and we did not recognize transportation. So I went out there, it was on a weekend, and I texted Wes Alexander, our transportation director, and I said, who in the world backed up every one of the buses? As you can see in this picture, they backed up every one of the buses because typically they're all the way up on the curb where they can plug the buses in. You see the trash cans there. Who was responsible for backing up all the buses? And we were trying to get the snow plows to get the snow out of the way, so Brian took it upon himself. He had the initiative to get all the one by one, get all those buses back so that we had a fighting chance to go to school. And so we went on that day. A lot of times we would have missed, but because of our hard work of our transportation department, especially Mr. Brian Vandiver, our maintenance, we were able to go to school on that day when it was kind of a iffy. And so we're real proud of that. So give it up for Mr. Brian Vandiver.
Brian goes the extra mile all the time. And he was over here telling me all this stuff and how he wanted this microphone and how he wants to talk to you all about it.
You know I don't want this microphone. No.
What Mr. Rush didn't tell you is he and Mr. Thompson both have gotten themselves certified, because I got evidence of them out there in the road. So they, when we were fighting to try, or we were suffering a serious shortage of drivers, they stepped up to get certified and do the deal just like everybody else.
Thank you.
All right, so Brian, he did all that. Brian does the mechanicking, he does the driving, how many years is this, Brian?
20, this is 27.
He's been for 27 years. Will be 27 this year. And he lives with a bunch of teachers. You can imagine how many times he gets corrected. Every day he gets corrected. We're so appreciative of you and on everyone else. And so, Mr. Rush, we've got to get his family up here. And now let's ask the board. Come on, let's ask the board to get up here and the family. Let's take a picture with Mr. Vanderver. Thank you. Appreciate you, Brian. I think we have one last award here, our Community Partner Award.
Good evening. The most precious resource our community has, as well as our school, is our children. And when Dr. Lawson, all of us say that we put safety first, we really do. We put our money where our mouth is, and we want to prove that every day. Luckily, we live in such a great community that we have two great partners in Henderson Police Department and the Sheriff's Department that they've been great partners and helped us over the last 4 or 5 years accomplish our goal of having an SRO in every single building. The month of February is SRO appreciation for all school resource officers across the nation. So this evening, we wanted to bring some of our SROs in and recognize them for what they do every single day for our community, but more importantly, for our students every day. There are a few that were unable to attend with us this evening, but I want to introduce the ones that are here with us. And gentlemen, as you would, whoever stands closest to Dr. Lawson is the one that gets to talk. I just want to remind you of that. First, we have Mr. Rick Lawrence. He is the SRO. Yeah, go on. He is the SRO at A.B. Chandler. Then we have Mr. Marty Wilson. He's the SRO at Cairo. We have Mr. John Book, the SRO out at Niagara. Then we have Mr. Alan Schrecker, the SRO at Henderson County High School. We have Mr. Todd Seibert, the SRO at Central Academy. Then also with us, we have Mr. Ricky Hammers, the SRO at South Middle. Other SROs that were not able to join us tonight is we have Mr. Chris Robinson. He rotates in the city between Thelma B. Johnson, Bengate Elementary, East Heights, and Jefferson, and also South Heights. We also have Mr. Jeff Brown. It's SRO at Spotsville, and we have Mr. Briscoe Edwards, the SRO at North Middle School, and hopefully we will have another SRO. I know it's been doing some training and waiting in the wings, Mr. James Barnes. So give it up for these fine men.
Men, we are so thankful for you all. You guys, you're our heroes. We are so thankful to have you in our schools. Safety is our top priority, and you guys are number one on that list. Just so appreciative and so glad to have you all. The partnership that we have and protection of our children, just as Mr. Thompson said, and staff, and it's just number one. And we just couldn't be more grateful to the board. You know, all these guys are special, but nobody can work for free, and our board has made a way for you guys, and then you all being great partners. And the job you do day to day, I think each of one of those principals would say, I'm so thankful for our SRO. I mean, I know they're so thankful for you are. So, Mr. Book, I think you're the nominee for the guy. I think these guys are kind of volunteering you for the microphone.
They're going to pay for this. I just want to say something personally and professionally real quick. personally, you've got a lot of experience up here with these guys and me. I retired after 28. I hit my 30-year mark in January. After 28 years, I was done. I was done with society. I was done with people. I was done with everything. And this job came along. I think it was the man upstairs had some timing in it because it opened up right as the time I was retiring. So 2 years out here at Niagara, and it took about 2 days for these kids to change me, give my life back to me. It's meant a lot to me, and they saved me. So, and I can't speak for all the guys here, but I think they probably feel the same way. If on a professional level, in all the years I've been doing this, I don't think there's a better program that law enforcement has invested in with the community than the SRO program. We may never take a bullet, hopefully not, but the money that you guys have invested in it and the time, the bridge building and the community partnership with these kids, the relationships that we're building with them. I've got K through 5th grade, and I love all 270 of my kids, so they're like my own. And I couldn't ask for a better job. I love my job again. I love these kids, and it's going to pay. I can promise you, it's going to pay dividends down the road in the relationships that these guys that we're building with these kids. So, I don't know.
Just like John, I believe the same thing. I worked for John, actually. We both retired about the same time. And it's been a life changer for you. You do so many years in law enforcement, you see so many bad things, you forget about a lot of the good things. And now I actually look forward to going to work every morning. I look forward to being abused by children and told I'm bald. Being known by kindergarten as George for some reason. But, it's always a fun day, and I value all the kids and all the relationships we have, and the teachers, and everybody's so warm and welcoming, and we're just not kind of used to that. And it's just been great.
Let's get a thank you, guys. We feel the very same way. So, and again, thank you to the board for making this possible. If we could, let's center the officers. We may have to, maybe Wes and Joe or Mr. Wilson may have to center the officers. We may have to move a couple down this way, and we'll center them in the picture, and let's kind of squeeze it in, guys, and get everybody in there. Hey, Wes, do you mind trying to close that door and see if we can? That'll give us a little space. Thank you all.
Next item would be Dr. Lawson.
So the
It's on
next,
our school board member visits to the schools.
that's right. So as you all know, January is School Board Appreciation Month. And so as part of that, our board members visit schools. They're very present in our community, but we take that time to visit schools, and so we've just made a slide for each one of them. I want to personally just thank all the principals and staff that prepared those things for them, but I wanted to give them, I think this one is Mr. Tom Alvis. And Mr. Alvis, what about your time visiting schools?
The enthusiasm and the kindness and the generosity were quite remarkable, and I appreciate their welcome. Kids and everybody went out of their way to make me feel welcome and express their appreciation for what I do. I suspect that their understanding of what I do well exceeds what I actually do, but that's another matter altogether. But it was quite an experience, and I enjoy going out there and seeing them. And on a more serious note, I think it's important that we do that because this is a whole team effort, and it is a community effort. And the notion that somehow or other school board members should not be involved in the schools is, I think, not a well-founded thought. So I think but I appreciate it very much the way I was welcomed and treated. It was a wonderful experience.
Well, thank you for saying that. Let's see. I think next we have Mr. McGarr.
Yeah. I visited East Heights Elementary and South Middle School. You know, as you can see, each school had a welcoming committee for me, which was fantastic. It was nice to walk in the front doors and have students waiting for you with big signs, and just seemed so excited to see, you know, a board member there along with Dr. Lawson. So that was very cool. And my favorite part about visiting schools is watching the interactions with the students and the teachers in the classroom to kind of see, you know, in person, our kids being taught. And it's cool to see the resources that our board is able to provide, whether it's the big TVs or just all the way down to, you know, classroom materials. It's good to see that stuff in motion. And, you know, it's sometimes we kind of lose sight. We sit here behind these desks and vote on different things and provide, you know, this and that. But to get out in the real world and actually see that stuff in action is a really cool thing. It kind of brings everything into perspective on what we do as a board. So I appreciate the opportunities to visit these schools. I don't remember as a kid board members coming in, like Mr. Alvis alluded to. It's a very good thing that this happens, and so I'm glad that our district has this in place for board members to get out and see the kids, and vice versa for the kids to meet their board members. So I'm glad to be part of that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. McGarr. Next, I think we have here Mr. Wes Smith.
Yeah, so I got to visit Bingate and the high school, and I enjoyed both those visits. Both my kids went through Bingate. Very appreciative of the time there. I'm not gonna lie, I did eat everything in that basket that was given to me. I did not share with anybody, so thank you. And then at the high school, you know, a little surprise welcoming coming in the door there, so I was thankful that spent some time with the principal there, and also looking at the CT unit to see the updates there. So no, very much appreciative.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. And next we have Ms. Williams.
Well, I'm not shocked very often, but whenever Chicky buzzed me in, and there was this huge welcoming committee, and they had their pom-poms all up in the air, and they were singing, and, well, I was speechless. That doesn't happen very often either. But it's always a thrill to go back and see. I know what hard work teachers do, but when you're out of the classroom for a day, it changes. And I was definitely impressed with all the different things. They put me on the spot on a math thing, and one of the little fifth graders was like, "Do you know the answer?" And I'm like, "Well, do you?" And she goes, "No." I looked at Miss Renee, and she was like, it's okay, we'll figure it out. And I said, "Phew, good." So anyway, it was a great day. And then we went to North, and gosh, all the changes and things that are going on at North are just phenomenal. And I think Mr. Roberts is doing a tremendous job. I was thoroughly impressed and enjoyed the day.
And they were equally glad to see you, Ms. Tracy. And our last one is our board chair, Mr. Waller.
Dr. Lawson, I had the privilege of going to Jefferson Elementary, South Heights Elementary, and coming here to the Thelma B. Johnson School. And the one thing that having gone into the schools, the enthusiasm was just astronomical from the students, the enthusiasm for learning, the enthusiasm for wanting to welcome me into the school, the enthusiasm to want to be around me. But what I was even more aware of was the commitment and dedication of our teachers and staff of working with these kids and keeping them involved in what they do and keeping them excited in what they do. And it was just something that just marveled me as to the commitment and dedication. So it was a privilege and an honor, and I can't thank them enough for what they did on that day. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we're so fortunate to have great board members. And again, thank you to our principals especially for making that day special for them.
I think that's it for the recognition.
That's it.
And the next item would be public participation. I don't think we have anybody here that wants to address the board. So the next item would be to approve the minutes of our prior meeting. We had a January 21st special regularly scheduled meeting, and you've received the minutes prior to this meeting. Is there any questions or changes with regards to the minutes? If not, I'd entertain a motion that we accept the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Have a motion, Mr. Alvis. Second, Mr. Smith. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please. Aye. Aye. Votes unanimous. Next would be a report on the CTE construction project.
Good afternoon. My name is Jake Bessler with Art Construction. We're the general contractor for the CTE addition. Since our last visit here, we've completed the greenhouse reskinning so that the students can use that here during the winter months for their spring sale. We've also continued the exterior addition. We do have it dried in now. We have the rooftop units on. We've started painting. We've started hanging ductwork. We are now doing the exterior brick, weather pending when it's a little bit warmer. So then we moved inside, and so now we are inside redoing the restrooms. We did find a electrical duct bank in the way of some of the sanitary sewer lines. So we worked with RBS and came up with a plan with that, submitted a price, and hopefully it gets approved tonight. But we've started continuing that excavation for the sewers there for the toilets. Continuing to be on schedule. We've moved to the roof before the winter happened, and we got roughly about 30% of the re-roof done as well. And then once we get that done, we'll move into the classrooms for the flooring, painting, and ceiling work. Any questions?
Does anybody have any questions with regards to the project going on at the high school? Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes, sir. I have Mr. Thomas here to propose the change order just talked about. So I brought somebody to speak for me this week.
Good evening. Appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. As you all probably know, there's been an issue that he just talked about where they hit a duct bank underneath the concrete slab that caused another issue to come up with the existing electrical panel where the disconnect switch did not function. So you've got a proposed change order in front of you for a little over $20,000. It includes really two pieces. One is roughly just under $7,000 to replace that electrical panel and to bring it up to new standards with the disconnect. And then the second part is actually rerouting of the electrical wires. They're gonna bring that out of underneath the slab, up a chase and over back to that new panel we're talking about. So if you all have any questions, I'd be more than glad to answer those. But there is a change order of just under $21,000 at $20,727 for that work.
Any questions with regards to the change order? Obviously, work that needs to be done. None. So, Dr. Lawson?
Request the board approve the change order for the CTE project as presented by Mr. Thomas, please.
Heard the superintendent's recommendation. Have a motion, Mr. Alves.
Second.
Second from Ms. Williams. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please. Aye. Vote unanimous. Change order is approved.
Mr. Waller, if I could, while we have Mr. Thomas up here at the mic, there is another piece in here down the agenda. Would you care if he spoke to that on the fencing? It is H while he's at the mic, or do you want to go in order?
No, well, let's move on. Keep you up. Yeah, save some time. Let's get it done.
There you go.
Thank you, I appreciate it. So there was a fence project that's been out for bids. We received actually 3 bidders. One of the bidders, we were unable to read their bid due to technicality, but we actually received 2 bids, and the low bidder was Cornerstone Fencing, and we've got them on other projects and a current project we're working with them. The 2 bids we received were within 5 or 6% of one another. So the low bid for Cornerstone was $281,300, which was quite a bit under the budget that you all approved on the BG1. So if you all could, there's I'd like for you to approve accepting the bids. There's a revised BG1 and also their contract to get started. And if that's approved tonight, we'll direct them in the morning to proceed and get that project moving forward.
Dr. Lawson?
Yeah, this is some fencing that it's time, and so we're fortunate to have these bids in and excited to be able to act on it. I'd request the board approve the bid recommendation here for the fence replacement project. And you can see it listed there, the various different places, but please approve this bid as presented by Mr. Thomas.
Okay, then I would also recommend that we approve the revised BG1 and also the owner contractor action document. So if I could entertain a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion from Ms. Williams. I have a second from Mr. Alves. All those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Vote unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you all, appreciate it.
Next item would be a athletic activities report. Mr. Grace?
Good evening, Dr. Lawson,
Hold
board.
on before you get going. Our student ambassadors, I know y'all got a high school basketball game tonight. If you're ready to go after that basketball game, don't wait on us.
We were gonna wait for Mr. Grace.
Oh, okay. He's gonna take y'all out there.
Nicely done, man. Nicely done. Nicely done.
I don't know what you did there, Nathan.
I was going to ask, did I not ask you guys what to do before I start? So, stealing my thunder up there. I know. All right. Dr. Lawson, board staff, and board members, thank you for having me out this evening. You have the report. I'm not going to read it word for word. Kind of just hit the highlights. We did have some appointments coming into the spring season for some new coaches. You can see those on there. We have some resignations, some sports that have moved on. Baseball, one took a new position in Evansville with a different company. So again, on the facilities, you can see as we scroll down there, our football team did have a parent work day. Mr. Rush and I met. We talked about we were going through the hiring process currently for a football coach. And one of the things as we were doing a walkthrough, and we were seeing that we need a little bit of a facelift in the weight room in there. So we had some parents that volunteered. Mr. Rush kind of headed up as one of the parents, not as a school district employee. He kind of helped us out there and gathered the troops. So we had some new paint put on there. Mr. Thacker helped us out with some resources. So again, if you get a chance to come by, check it out. We got a little more to do, but we're in that process and starting out. We've had one day, we'll have another. Our maintenance department also has been working to fix the roof leak that we had in the training room, storage room. It's going well, as you can see. Again, I was going to speak on the fencing project, but that's already done, so thank you on that so much from the athletic side of that. And again, met with Mr. Thompson to talk about some things that we're going to talk about a little bit later on. So winter sports are winding down, so we are finishing up. Last week of basketball's this week. You can see, again, I've included a few activities as well, which will be our winter guard, our academic team, archery is an activity sport. Again, we're hosting lots of things this weekend. Something I wanted to add is the regional academic tournament is going to be hosted by us on Saturday at the high school. So again, if you're out and about during the day, feel free to stop by, see a different activity other than the traditional sports that we host at the high school. Again, Lady Colonels and Colonel basketball will be in action next week with the district down at Union County. Then we'll follow up. The girls will be in Hopkinsville the following week, and then the boys will automatically have made birth to the regional tournament, and that will be in Madisonville. So looking forward to that. Again, rifle, Mr. Alvis was there, and thank you for representing us with the rifle team. So again, thank you, sir, for that. Indoor track, we're working diligently to get to the outdoor season. We have one qualifier for swim this week. Mr. Thompson, thank you. He was one of our bus drivers this year for the swim team. As a parent and as an employee, we thank you for all the dedication to the program. Again, our winter guard, found out that I think we got most of the way to Tennessee, and then we had to turn around because of the weather, but they are looking for a few more opportunities to compete coming forward. And then again, wrestling, we did add a few things. We had some state qualifiers this last weekend that wouldn't have been in this report. So the females went to the regional tournament. We have, I think, 5, if not 6, one with an alternate. It's going to be moving on to the state for the ladies' side. Our cheer team is preparing for the Sweet 16 coming up. We're looking forward to making a deep run, boys and girls, this year. So again, hopefully they'll both compete. Our dance team just returned as a national champion, so a round of applause for them. So I know they're not here tonight, but I'd like to get that on record. So, and again, dance tryouts are coming up on the 21st of April. So I know that's a few to add to that, but again, it was some things that come in after the report, so I wanted to kind of just get that on record. So, any questions?
Anybody have any questions, Mr. Grace? Thank you very much. Very detailed report, good information, appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Now y'all can go. So the next item would be, under new business, adopt a resolution authorizing the Henderson County School District Finance Corporation to issue school building revenue bonds. Mr. Salisbury.
I thought the student ambassadors were waiting for this exciting. Apparently not. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Dwight Salisbury with RSA. And just real quickly to follow up on Cindy's award, she really is an outstanding finance officer, and she's a proud representative of this district. She makes our job a lot easier, and she is very respected around the state, and she's to be commended. She does a great job. The resolution in front of you is to approve the bonds for the financing for the East Heights project. It's a 2-step process. We will have the board pass a resolution, take a temporary recess of the board meeting to convene a meeting of the Finance Corporation. They pass a couple agenda items. We adjourn that meeting, and then we're done. So if there's no questions, Mr. Chairman, I'll read the resolution.
Please do.
This is a resolution of the Board of Education of the Henderson County School District confirming the acceptance of an offer of assistance from the Kentucky School Facilities Construction Commission, authorizing and approving the execution of a participation agreement with said commission, authorizing and approving the execution of a lease agreement with the Henderson County School District Finance Corporation, and any further necessary instruments, approving certain architect's plans for the construction of a certain school building project, approving the execution of continuing disclosure procedures, and the execution of tax compliance procedures, and approving the plan of financing the cost of said project.
So at this time, we entertain a motion, Dr. Lawson, to accept this resolution as part of the Board of Education. So I'd entertain a motion that we have a motion from Ms. Williams, second from Mr. McGar, that we accept the resolution as is read into the minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, vote unanimous. Thank you. Next is we'll take a short recess to call to order. We don't have to vote on anything going to recess. We're just taking a recess. We're going to recess this meeting, and I will call to order the meeting of the Henderson County School District Finance Corporation at this time.
Agenda item one, didn't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead.
Agenda item one is just to confirm the board officers as the Finance Corporation officers. You actually technically don't have to do that, but it just makes signing all the paperwork easier. If your board attorney's okay with it, usually you can just do it in one motion, approve the board officers as the Finance Corporation officers.
So we've adopted the resolution authorizing the issues of school building.
I'm at number 2, actually.
Oh, you're in number 2?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So we'd have to have a motion to accept the finance officers as listed.
The board officers as the Finance Corporation officers.
So moved.
Have a motion, Ms. Williams. Second, Mr. McGar. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please. Aye. Aye, vote unanimous. So,
Number 3, this is the actual resolution to issue the bonds for the East Heights project.
okay.
This is a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Henderson County School District Finance Corporation relating to and providing for the issuance of $24,575,000 principal amount, subject to a permitted adjustment of $2,460,000 of special obligation bonds in accordance with sections 58.180 and 162.120 through 162.290 and 162.385 of the Kentucky Revised Statutes to provide funds for school building purposes, providing and determining the duty of said corporation in connection with the operation of the school property, the creation of funds sufficient to pay the principal of and interest on said revenue bonds as and when they mature, the creation of adequate maintenance and insurance funds, authorizing and approving the execution of continuing disclosure procedures and the execution of tax compliance procedures, and authorizing the execution of a lease of such foregoing property to the Board of Education of the Henderson County School District.
So we'd entertain a motion to accept this
Motion second
resolution
to
as
approve
presented.
that resolution.
So moved.
Have a motion, Ms. Williams.
Second.
Second, Mr. Alves. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please. Aye. Vote unanimous. So we're going to adjourn, the Finance Corporation meeting, and we're going to resume the regular Board of Education meeting, and you're going to explain to us our bonding
Yep,
capacity.
we're going to go through your bonding potential real quickly, or I mean, I can go through it for 2 hours if you want.
No, we
I'm
don't
assuming
think
you want me to go through it quickly. I joked with Cindy when I came in that 2 of the resource officers were parking their cars out there when I parked, and I said, man, they must be expecting a really big crowd for my presentation. They bring in all the, but the handout is kind of a template that we use to put together your bonding capacity. There's a way under the Department of Education's regulations that it's calculated, and I'm going to go through this fairly quickly. You feel free to shout out any questions if you have them. This first page is your current outstanding debt. Before we can think about issuing new debt, we need to make sure we keep in mind the debt that you previously issued. Each of those columns is a previous bond issue, and a little description at the bottom of what the actual projects were and the original par amount of the bonds. A couple things to point out on this. Column B, you'll notice, has zeros in it. The district a few years ago elected to pay off early your Series 2013 bonds. I just left on there kind of as a reference so you can see that, because of some excess cash that you had, you made a good financial decision to go ahead and just pay those bonds completely off. Column F is blank, and the reason for that is those bonds were a different type of bond. They were energy conservation bonds. You pay the debt service on those bonds out of your general fund. Everything that I'm about to talk about is restricted funds, and I'll talk a little more about that in a second. But because those bonds are paid from the general fund, we don't list them on here. This is only debt that's paid out of your building fund and your capital outlay fund. So that's why we list it on there, because we want to make sure you're aware of it, but we actually don't show the debt service on this page. The idea is the debt service on that bond issue is generated from the utility savings that you realized when you put those improvements in place. So you follow to the far right column. You've got a little over $3,660,000 a year in current debt. Starts to fall off a little bit in 2033, falls down a little bit more in 2038, and then ends up completely in 2040. So before we can think about issuing new debt, we just have to keep that in mind. That's the debt that we've already issued. The next page is the money that you all have to pay on these bonds and potentially pay on new bonds. I mentioned the term restricted funds. The monies that you use for capital projects are restricted for that purpose. They can only be used for capital purposes. You can't use them to pay salaries. You can't use them to pay instructional things. It's only allowed for capital needs. And it's really two sources. It's your building fund and your capital outlay fund. Your building fund kind of has a local piece and then a piece that comes from the state. The local piece is columns B and C. Every district in the state has column B. That's 5 cents of your property taxes that are put into the building fund. Back in 2015, the board elected to levy a recallable nickel. So you said we want to add an additional 5 cents to our tax rate and put that money in the building fund as well. So you all actually have 10 cents going into your building fund instead of the normal 5. Columns D and E are equalization funds that come from the state. FSPK stands for Facility Support Program Kentucky. And what that is that's an attempt to equalize you all so that your building fund produces 150% of the statewide assessment per child. So if you're a poor district with a lot of kids, you're going to get more equalization money. If you're a wealthier district with not a lot of kids, so you already have a really high assessment per child, you may not get any equalization funds. And for you all, that's a pretty big number. You get, for this year, fiscal 2025, you get $1,550,000. That column D equalizes your first nickel in column B. And when the board elected to levy that recallable nickel in column C, one of the real benefits of it is that you all got an additional equalization money from the state. So for your $1.9 million you're putting in locally, you got an additional $1,550,000 from the state. So it was really advantageous to take advantage of that. Did you have a question?
Oh, no.
Oh.
I was just shaking my head that's
yeah,
why
that is definitely, that is
Yeah.
a definite, benefit of levying that recallable nickel. The other advantage is because you levied that recallable nickel several years ago, that you'll notice those funds, they don't grandfather. They continue to go out equal to the nickel. Districts right now who levy recallable nickels, the legislature's chosen to sunset that equalization at 20 years. So if you all elected to levy an additional recallable nickel, that equalization amount would stop after 20 years unless the legislature changes the funding levels, which they have done periodically. But because you all were previous to that, there is no grandfather clause in that, so that's why it goes all the way out to the end, so it's an even bigger benefit. Capital outlay fund, that's the other piece of your restricted funds. It's Fund 310, column F. That's a little easier. It's $100 per student based on your average daily attendance. And when we use it to calculate your bonding potential, we take 80% of that number. We leave a little cushion in there in case you have a year where you take a big hit or something like that in your building funds. We want to make sure that you can afford the debt that you've already issued. So if we add your building fund and your capital outlay funds together, we get column G. That's kind of like you think about buying a house. That's your total salary that you're going to get. $7,555,450. That's the revenue that we have to service your existing debt and then potentially consider issuing new debt. Column H is your bond payments that you've already issued from the previous page. So that gives us column I. That's the local money that you have to pay principal and interest on a new bond issue for the next 20 years. You all have 3 offers of assistance outstanding right now from SFCC. You get those every 2 years, and they are generated by the facility plan that you all put together. That facility plan produces an unmet need based on the, adding up all of the work that has to be done in all your schools. And you'll hear in the news, they'll say that the legislature in this budget session funded X amount of school construction bonds for the state, and it varies quite a bit. It's been as high as $100 million. The last few years, it keeps going down and down and down. In this last session, they actually only funded $40 million, but that's where those offers come from, is essentially SFCC says, okay, if they funded $70 million in projects, over 20 years, that annual debt service would be X. And then they say, okay, Henderson County, you are 1/10 of 1% of the state's unmet need, so you're going to get 1/10 of 1% of that annual debt service amount. And that's what those 3 columns are. You get these offers every 2 years. You have 8 years to use them. You don't actually have this cash. It's basically a pledge by the SFCC offer that if you sell bonds on a project that meets their requirements, they will agree to pay those amounts. And actually, we're going to use all 3 of those on the East Heights project. That was the part of the resolution that talked about accepting an offer of assistance from the School Facilities Construction Commission. So if we add their money to your money, we get column H. That's really the total amount we have available to pay principal and interest on a new bond issue. So on the next page, if you really wanted to, you look in the bottom left corner, you could do a $71,240,000 bond issue, and you would be within your KD mandated guidelines for how a district calculates its bonding potential. Column F would be the total debt service payments. If you borrowed, that's $71,240,000. Column G are those 3 SFCC offers. If you added them together, it's $185,457. So they're paying their share, so you all would pay the less. Column F minus column G gives you your new payments for this bond issue would be column H. So we add the payments on the $71 million to column A, your current debt, that would give you column I. So your payments would go from about a little over $3,600,000 to about $7,555,000. But you can see from column J, and we talked about this, your total restricted funds are $7,555,000. So you would be able to cover that debt service if you wanted to issue $71 million in bonds. That's your bonding potential, but personally I don't really like that number. I don't like giving that number to boards because it's not really a realistic number. It's a very static number. It's based on how much you could borrow today, but you have other projects in mind that we need to consider. So what I've shown in the next couple pages are, all right, well, let's layer in. We approved the resolutions tonight for East Heights. Coming up probably later this year, we're going to have the bonds for the South Middle School project. So I plugged in columns J and K kind of some projected debt service, the debt service that I think we're going to get on those 2 bond issues. So if you follow to the right, again, assuming that the debt service comes in at these projections, your bond payments are going to go up to about almost $5,900,000 or so after we issue those 2 projects. So if you go to the next page, the reason I wanted to show you all this is that same funds available. None of the numbers have changed. But if you go to column I, it should give you a little bit of sense of relief that even though you're getting ready to issue, $24 million for East Heights and potentially another $20+ million for South Middle, that column I basically kind of gives you an estimate of what would be available after issuing those bonds. So you can see, you've got roughly $1.6 million of a cushion based on your revenues right now. So it kind of should give you some comfort that even though these are pretty big numbers, big projects that I think came in a little higher maybe than initially going in we thought they might be, you are well within your ability to afford, the additional debt that you're going to layer on. And then the last page is kind of a summary to sort of bring you up to speed on the history of your bonding potential and what you've been able to accomplish. That bonding potential March of 2015, that was prior to the recallable nickel being levied. Your bonding potential at that time was $27,855,000. So for the next 6 years, 15 through 21, you can see you issued a total of $47,860,000 worth of bonds. You built a couple elementary schools, some renovations projects. So even though in March of 15 you had bond potential of $27,855, by levying that recallable nickel, in the next 6 years you were actually able to fund $47 million worth of projects. Fast forward to this year, underneath that, again, we're getting ready to issue $24,575,000 for East Heights, and then probably as soon as later this year, another $21,525,000 for the South Middle School project. If you add those 2 together, that's another $46 million worth of bonds. Add the $46 million just for these 2 projects to the $47 that you previously issued. In roughly 10 years, you've been able to fund, $93 million worth of projects. For a district back in 2015, prior to the levying that recallable nickel, you only had $27 million in bonding potential. So it really kind of shows you the power of that decision and what you've been able to accomplish by doing that. And the nice thing too is even issuing those $93 million worth of projects, you've still got room coming up. You'll notice summer of 26, you'll likely get another bump in that equalization money when they set the budget in the spring of 26. So your bonding potential after issuing East Heights, after issuing the South Middle School, summer of 26, you'll probably have close to another $40 million of bonding potential available ultimately for the next project. Skip forward 2 years, again, you'll probably get a bump in your equalization revenues. That $39 million is going to go up to $52 million. Skip another couple years after that, it jumps up to $65 million. And again, a lot of that is really the power of that recallable nickel and the additional revenue that goes along with it. You've done a good job of being able to stay on top of your facility needs, and you're able to meet all of your facility requirements, and stay ahead of the game, which is an accomplishment. Not a lot of districts are able to do that. So that was a lot of information. Yes, sir.
I'm curious, what is the interest rate environment now compared to, a lot of the previous debt that we had was issued in the 2.5%, maybe 3% at the very most.
Yeah, you're not going to be anywhere near that, to be honest with you. And I think those rates, you're not going to be anywhere near 2 or 2.5%. I think those rates were kind of a one-time, really sort of an artificially low rate. I was just saying to Cindy, on these bonds we're getting ready to sell, they sell on February 26th. You'll probably be 4.1, something like that for a 20-year financing, which, sure, you're like, well, yeah, we had 2.5 2 years ago. Well, that was sort of an artificially low rate. And also, if you go back 20 years, borrowing $25 million at 4.1% is a great rate. And I don't know, Cindy, you might even be earning more than that on your deposits right now, so or pretty close to that probably. So somewhere probably around 4.1, something like that. Actually, your stock pickers left. You could have told them Henderson County school bonds are a good investment.
Who buys these bonds?
The entire bond issue will be bought by an underwriting firm. On a $24 million deal, a lot of it gets sold to bond funds, bigger institutional buyers, some pension funds, kind of bigger institutional buyers. Typically, retail buyers probably won't buy something of this size. A retail buyer just being a person that wanted to buy, a bond for their own personal portfolio.
Thank you.
Cindy, Dr. Lawson, any comments?
Thank you, Mr.
Sure.
Salisbury. So, a lot of information. He jokingly said about, people hearing his presentation, but it's important. And I know for you all and for me, this is humbling to think of where we were and the great leadership it takes and service it takes from our past superintendents, our past central office leaders, our past board members, our current board members, just to have a vision for wanting the absolute best schools for our kids. And so thankful to our community for making that happen. Appreciate all the leadership it's taken to get us where we are. And I appreciate the leadership of the board and our current central office cabinet leaders in terms of looking at our vision forward. And especially, I think that tonight Cindy was recognized, but it's important. It's really, when you look back at where we were to where we are, the great amount of work that's occurred. And on top of that, we've been able to pay our staff. If these were all general fund expenses before the nickel, we just wouldn't be in a place where we could be successful, frankly. But we are, because of our great community and great leadership all around. So thank you, Mr. Salisbury.
Sure. Thank you.
Excellent financial shape. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Next item would be to ratify the Henderson Water Utility temporary easement. Ms. Byrd?
So this is a matter that I brought to you all several weeks ago. We were approached by the water utility about the need for a temporary construction easement across a small strip of land out off Airline Road that's next to Beck's Hybrid. They're replacing a wastewater force main. And so in the interest of time, they were trying to get the bids out, and they could not get everything. They couldn't submit the project for bid without, securing the easement. So in an effort to accommodate them, we, agreed to grant them the easement. So now I need the board to ratify approval of granting the easement and authorizing Dr. Lawson to execute that easement.
Does anybody have any questions with regards to what the easement was and the purpose or where it was?
No, sir, I move that we accepted it.
Well, Dr. Lawson, you have a recommendation?
I do. I would ask that you ratify the approval of this easement as explained by Ms. Byrd.
Okay, and we had drawings of it and knew where it was going to be, so obviously there weren't any questions prior to that. And so Mr. Alvis has made a motion that we accept the easement and approve it as required, so I'll entertain a second.
Second.
Second from Mr. Smith. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, votes unanimous. Thank you. Mr. Thompson.
Yes, sir. Before you this evening, we have the geothermal test well and also the conductivity test for South Middle School. We are doing this ahead of the formal bids simply because there is a long wait list to if you don't get in line on geothermal wells. We're trying to give our contractor, whoever that may be, our architect, engineers, 2 summers to work on this job, so we're trying to get ahead as much as we can. So they did go ahead and bid out the test well and the conductivity. There were 2 bidders, Durban Geothermal and Mid-South Geothermal. Durban Geothermal was the cheapest, but it is also recommended by our engineer, Markham Engineer, and so we're looking for your approval this evening to move forward with Durban Geothermal.
I request the board approve the award of this geothermal test wells as presented by Mr. Thompson.
Okay, you heard Dr. Lawson's recommendation. We approve BG 25-225 for the test wells.
So moved.
Have a motion, Mr. Alvis.
Second.
Second from Ms. Williams. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. Vote unanimous. And the next item, Mr. Thompson.
The next item, in conversation with Dr. Lawson and some of our principals and Mr. Rush and Mr. Grace and along with our DFP, which is in the process, some things that we wanted to get our mind wrapped around was what are some of the costs for potential projects moving forward. We are not committing to any project, but we were put an RFP out for architect to just give us opinion of probable cost, potential basic designs and elevation views of several different projects that we're considering. It's actually a pretty good list of projects, but we sent out an RFP. We did have 2 that returned proposals to us, and we would like to, for your consideration this evening, to approve Ross Tarrant as our architect for this endeavor.
So it's another exciting thing that we're doing in terms of, oftentimes we'll wonder if we can do this project or do that project. And so this gives us the ability to consult with an architect and see, what maybe like the probable cost might be, or can we do this or that structurally. And so we've got some pretty exciting projects coming up. And I think it's going to be exciting for Henderson County Schools. And so thank you, Mr. Thompson, for going through that. And I'd request the board approve the RFP and approve the architectural services of Ross Tarrant for this project.
Heard the superintendent's recommendation.
I got a question.
Make a motion. We'll get it on a second, and we'll have the questions. Have a motion?
Make a motion.
Have a motion, Mr. Alvis?
Second.
Second from Ms. Williams. Now, any questions?
Is there a figure associated with that?
That is what will be negotiated after we award the contract. If there is a figure associated to it, I would assume it's going to be fairly small, but we will be in negotiation once the contract is given to them on what that would be.
Okay.
Because this is not like your typical project to where they have a guideline that they go by. And so we have had some discussion early on with different architects. Some of them do it for free. Most of them do it for free. There is a little bit of cost depending on how deep you get in the design work. We're not going to get in real deep in the design work, basic floor plan, maybe some elevation. We're not going to get into MEP and all of that stuff. So there will be minimal cost to it, if any.
Having been around for a long time, when we look at an architect that may get a future project, a lot of this stuff comes in as a courtesy, and then the real money comes when we award a contract to do a lot of it's from a courtesy standpoint, he said.
Felt the need to ask the question.
Good question. Other questions? All those in favor of the recommendation signify by saying aye, please. Aye. Aye, vote unanimous. Next item would be consent agenda. We have 6 items under the consent agenda. Approval of second reading of the district improvement plan, approve some school activity fundraiser requests, approve student overnight trip requests, approve grant applications, approve bid recommendations, and approve a shortened school day for 3 special education students. We've seen the consent agenda prior to the meeting. Is there anything that needs to be pulled for special discussion? So I'd make a motion we accept the consent agenda as is.
Second.
Have a second from Mr. Alvis. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please. Aye. Vote unanimous. Next item would be the financial information.
Okay, the treasurer's report for the month of January includes total receipts of $6,750,804 and total expenses of $6,109,485 for a net increase in all funds of $641,319. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions, Ms. Cloutier, with regards to the treasurer's report? Dr. Lawson?
If there are no questions, I'd request the board approve the treasurer's report as presented by Ms. Cloutier.
Heard the superintendent's recommendation. Entertain a motion. Have a motion, Mr. Alvis.
Second.
Second from Ms. Williams. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please. Aye. Vote unanimous. Next, paid warrant report.
Okay, the paid warrant report covers the period of January 22nd through February 17th and includes total paid warrants of $3,345,760.43. Any questions on the paid warrants?
Any questions on any of the bills that were listed in the report? Dr. Lawson?
If there are no questions, I'd request the board approve the paid warrant report as presented by Ms. Cloutier.
Heard the superintendent's recommendation. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Have a motion from Ms. Williams. Second from Mr. Smith. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please. Aye. Vote unanimous. Mr. Robin, would you let the record reflect that we've received and reviewed personnel actions since the last meeting? And at this time, I will entertain a motion that we go into executive session per KRS 61.8101F, KRS 61.8101K, and KRS 156.5576C. Have a motion from Mr. Smith, have a second from Ms. Williams. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Vote unanimous. We're going to executive session. All of you folks, we will not be taking any action after this meeting, so we'll see y'all later.